Hi everyone, welcome back at the Vested Summit, the investment edition, world's largest event on conscious tech. Our next panel discussion is an investment success story. We're here with Alicia Sornson. She actually also opened this festival um, with a story about Village Capital. And during this session, we'll hear two personal stories about the experience with Village Capital. Um, our own Hala will lead the conversation, and we'll go into conversation with Rami, Jadaa, and Odunayo. So I'm super curious to hear. If you're watching, wherever you're watching, on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or LinkedIn, you can always ask your questions, and we'll make sure that they'll end up with our speakers, and they'll try their best to answer them. So, yeah, take it away and enjoy.
Thank you, Amber. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone to the Vested Summit 2021 Day 2. It's so great to have you here, Alicia, Rami, and Odun. Thank you for tuning in and accepting our invitation to be here. It's lovely to have you and lovely to uh, feature successful stories again to the region here, just to, have inspirational stories that our entrepreneurs can look up to. So would love to start off maybe by giving a small introduction about you all, and then we take it away. So, Alicia, you're from Village Capital, and Village Capital is a global company that helps entrepreneurs to bring big ideas from vision to scale. Your mission is to reinvent the system to back the entrepreneurs of the future. And your vision, again, is a future where business creates equity and long term prosperity. Since 2019, you have supported more than 1,000 early stage entrepreneurs through your investment readiness programs. Village Capital works in North and South America, Africa, the Middle East, Europe, and South Asia. Programs and Partnerships Manager, you, Alicia Sornson, for the MENA region. You're here with us today. So welcome and thank you for being here. Fotortec, you're a Colombia-based technology company with a mission to end children malnutrition. What a lovely mission. Uh, you turn all vegetable waste into high-value ingredients for food manufacturers and society. You achieve this by imitating nature, and you require minimum conditions for that. Rami, Jadaa, welcome and thank you for being here with us today.
Thank you.
Piggyvest, Odin. Piggyvest is a Nigeria-based fintech that helps over 3 million customers achieve their financial goals by helping them save and invest with ease. Odin, you're here with us, tuning in from London, Rami from Colombia, and Alicia from DC, if I'm not mistaken. Thank you all for being here. And I wanted to start off with Alicia. Maybe you can tell us a little bit about Village Capital and who you work with. That would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you for the introduction, Hala. Village Capital is a global entrepreneurial support organization. We work with early stage startups across the world. All of the startups that we work with have an impact focus. The way that we meet most of our entrepreneurs is through our accelerator programs. Village Capital runs typically 3-month investment readiness programs. That's how we met both Odun and Rami through our programs. We run these programs globally. Most of them focus around 3 main impact themes, which is sustainability, financial health, and future of work. But we also do work outside of those themes at times as well. We work with a lot of really exciting founders across the world who are continually inspiring us. So I'm really excited to showcase the 2 stories that we have here today.
Amazing, thank you, Alicia. And Odin, I know that you're on the Village Capital board. You're a member there, so maybe you can give us a little bit also of an introduction about maybe a Village Capital program, maybe, and how you accept the startups. And I know you have an interesting program for that that could be enriching for others in the region here to know of.
Right. Yeah, we joined Village Capital, I think, in 2017, the accelerator as Piggyvest. And that year, we discovered something fascinating about the program, right? It's called the peer selection method, where you and the other startups in your cohort, maybe like 10, 11, 12 startups usually, you get to know each other over 3 months. And in those 3 months, instead of you pitching to investors or to a judging panel, it is your fellow startup founders that are getting to know you, right? They're the ones who you're explaining your business to, which I think kind of makes sense considering the fact that they're on the same journey as you. And at the end of the day, you vote. So the cohort ranks the startups, and then the top 2 startups get investment from Village Capital. So what happened during our cohort in 2017 was that we were one of the 2 startups selected to kind of get like the investment from Village Capital.
Amazing. So when did this program start? Like this methodology, I mean.
I think it's always existed.
Mhm.
I don't know how long it's been in practice, but I think it's been there since before we joined. And so we did the program in 2017, went on, and I think other startups have gone on to benefit from it as well. Um, I personally then joined the board of Village Capital US this year and just kind of have a front row seat to how a lot of like the processes are arrived at and a lot of the decisions are made. But beyond it all, I think that what has been fascinating both from the startup founder end and from the board member end is that entrepreneurs come first, which isn't usual. Entrepreneurs come first, entrepreneurs' opinions come first, the startups just they come first. So it's really around it's not just proving that your startup works, it's that does it like work and can other people from varying regions of the world working on different startups themselves, can they find common ground with you and the idea that you're working on, which I think makes a ton of difference than sitting down and trying to sell it strictly to investors all of the time. Because then startup founders are able to ask you deeper questions, more intuitive questions, more intense questions about user growth, the methods that the methodology that you're employing, your storytelling. Because we can convince investors. That's actually much easier than convincing a fellow startup founder. They have
Yeah.
far more questions than you can imagine. So I think that way it's very interesting to have seen like how a method that flips that model on its head puts the entrepreneur and the startup in the driver's seat and allows us to make like the more cogent, the more pertinent decision.
Absolutely. No, thank you for giving this as a like a model for the region maybe to follow. I think it's really enriching also to involve the different like stakeholders
Yeah.
in the process. So thank you for explaining that, Odin. And Rami, welcome. I know you're the founder for Fotortec, so it's really different what you guys are doing. Maybe you can tell in your own words again what you do, and maybe tell us also why you started this startup.
Well, first and foremost, thank you so much, Hala, for having me here today. Thank you, Alicia, for making this happen as well. Pleasure to meet you as well, Odin. Well, Fotortec started probably as my obsession about the fact that every minute a kid dies of malnutrition. Like I grew up in Cuba in times where food was scarce, and I could see kids like asking their parents why is there no food. So for me, it was kind of unacceptable. Then I was a fan of Discovery Channel and National Geographic. I wanted to study more nature and understand it better. So when I studied microbiology in Colombia, the world's fourth most biodiverse country, for me it was kind of unacceptable with the technology we have today, with our milestones of getting to Mars and everything. How come is it not possible that we have enough food, right? So for me it came very clear that we had to do something about the vegetable waste. Like nothing is a waste. It's just whatever we call waste is something we not yet haven't found a way to use it better. So I found these mushrooms that can digest waste just as it happens in nature and transform it into actual mushrooms that we go to the supermarket and buy. And then we just found a way to make it like more affordable in order to turn it into powder that we can extract ingredients from. And this is how Fotortec came. But I think that the technology comes second. The first thing is our initiative, and our mission itself is how to obtain high quality food ingredients anywhere in the world. That's how it came to be.
Amazing, amazing. And I never heard of those mushrooms. What are they called?
Well, they're very common. They're oyster mushrooms.
No way.
Yes, absolutely. It's just like anything that is green around us will ultimately be digested by fungi in nature. We just took a particular species that mankind has used for thousands of years and just found a way how to grow them anywhere in the world with minimum conditions, regardless of the weather, with a great return of investment over the capital expense, because we want to massify our technology. As a matter of fact, we plan to franchise it in the future, so everybody can make money from the vegetable waste around them. And yes.
Amazing, amazing, great to hear. And Odin, would you also tell us a little bit about how or why you started Piggyvest, and what was the urge, like this one thing inside of you that was nagging that you have to solve this problem?
Well, I mean, I think that the story was it was more experimental. I think we were on Twitter the last day of 2015, December 31, and there was a lady there who had saved 1,000 naira, which is the equivalent of about $2.50, in a wooden box every day for a year. And so she broke that box and put the photo on Twitter, and it went viral. And there were two like very important things that happened that evening. Was one, we realized that despite having an average of 2-3 bank accounts, Nigerian young people were still saving in actual wooden boxes, right? Like, and we had like 22 banks. Each person already has 2 or 3 apps on their phone, but that wasn't enough. And the second thing that happened was that after everyone saw that she saved, the equivalent of 365,000 in that box, everyone wanted a box, which for us was just unsustainable. We can't all have wooden boxes in our homes to store money. And so we decided to build a digital piggy bank, which was actually the first name of the product. So when we launched it in January 2016, it was called piggybank.ng, just because that's literally what everyone was looking for. And so we built it as an answer to younger people in Nigeria, basically saying the banking system was not enough. We need something else, something that encompasses the flexibility and the discipline of an actual wooden box.
Awesome. No, I think this is, like the whole world can actually need this, and especially the region, the emerging markets. So, like, thank you for being up for this challenge. Definitely worthwhile. And speaking of challenges, what may I ask? What was like the biggest challenge in your journeys, like both of you, if you could highlight a little bit for our entrepreneurs?
Odin, would you like to start first?
Sure. I mean, I think that I'm building from Nigeria. So the biggest challenge for us is usually like infrastructural and regulatory. Infrastructural, because Nigeria is still very much a developing country, and we have so many challenges that mean that there isn't electricity, the road supply is bad, logistics don't work, all those interesting things. And then the regulatory, which is the fact that the rules just don't stay in one place, they keep changing, and things just keep being modified. And so when you're running a business there, it's a lot of uncertainty, which means you kind of have to be on standby 100% of the time.
Thank you, Odin and Rami.
Well, I mean, the greatest challenge, I think it's always oneself, like myself in this case. It's very easy to know what we're good at and what we're capable of doing, but it's sometimes more difficult to realize the experience or knowledge that we're lacking. And therefore, there's a lot of gap in realizing all the resources that we really have in front of us, because otherwise we're always going to be expecting more and having more resources to start. And it's all about realizing that the best moment to start is today. And as much as it could sound like a cliche, in my case, I realized like it wasn't about developing more technologies, it was about executing. It doesn't matter The first box of mushrooms we sold was in an awful styrofoam, non-environmental friendly box, but it doesn't matter. People understood the mission, and people ultimately buy your mission. And the more you're self-aware of your lackings or spaces to be better, and the people you need to contact, the faster it is. So that's the ultimate challenge: self-awareness.
I totally agree, and I think it's like the journey of your inner awareness and like your inner growth that you're always working on yourself, and also trying to pinpoint like those blockages within you, from within you, so like that you could work on, so that it opens up more opportunities for you as a founder or as an entrepreneur to kind of like find your way through any of uh, the hurdles that could come your way. Yeah. And Alicia, can I also hear from you about the same question, since you oversee like the whole of the region, and like you definitely have an input on like the different challenges. Definitely these are two challenges as case studies, but the different challenges that mostly you hear of when we talk about the region, the emerging markets in particular. So
Yeah, I think we hear of a lot of different challenges. I think what Odin was speaking to is one that I hear a lot echoed throughout the emerging markets, is that regulation, and especially outdated regulation, makes innovation very difficult, especially when companies are looking to scale out of the country that they developed or they ran their pilot in. It's one of the biggest things that I personally hear. Is how difficult regulation can make our work. The other thing that I hear, particularly in the MENA region, but I'm not sure how other emerging markets would view this, is the difficulty to find like-minded investors. Like I said, most of the companies, all the companies we work with, are very impact focused. And a lot of them want to raise funding from investors who are like-minded, investors who share their values or share their vision for their company, and who want to also focus on social impact returns as well. And finding those people, they exist, but finding them can be difficult for founders in emerging markets.
absolutely, absolutely. I think we're redefining in a way um, what the investor role is supposed to be anyway, and also what kind of investor we're looking to have on board. Like I think we're still figuring this out as well. And also what I know we said this before, but again we are aligned, Village Capital and Scale Up Ventures, in terms of like working with the impact startups and what we call conscious tech under Vested Summit here. So I'm really happy that you pinpointed this concept, because again, through the summit we are trying to educate the masses in general about what it means to have impact investing, or to start reading or knowing about impact investing. And also we want to educate also the people who are interested to become angel investors on how can they have the impact side of things part of their criteria of choosing which startup to hop on and to support. So thank you, Alicia, for bringing this forward.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I want to go to the leadership side of things. I want to ask you about, again, running a company is a complex. Like getting it off the ground is one thing, and running it is another thing. Maintaining it is a third thing. But so, how does the leadership play a role for you, Rami and Odin? And how different is it that you have built it in order to keep it, maintain it, and maybe grow it as well?
Sure. So I think that very much for me, leadership has been something that like I had to learn. Um, we started like my first company. We started right out of university for me, and so it's been an incredible learning curve to figure out how to manage people, how to manage a company, how to report to investors, and all of the really interesting things that you don't like get to learn when you're getting a degree. People relations and all of we started out really young, and so it's been both like other people being very helpful about here's how I think it's best to do this, and just the people who work for us also being gracious enough to know that we're new to this. So when we started, it was a lot of trial and error, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, people management, learning, taking courses, and just basically doing what we needed to do to learn how to be the leaders that the company needs. Now it's been 6 years. I think we have some handle on it. And it's been very interesting to be able to look back and see how much like different I am today versus when we started in 2016, and how much different my decision making processes are, my reporting processes, how I approach problems. Just generally, it's kind of been wild to be to like have to revisit that journey and understand who I was then. I was very green 21-year-old. Today, kind of seasoned 28-year-old who's been at this for a bit. Having talking with regulations, I've become such an expert at it that like it takes I think it takes practice. And I think that young entrepreneurs need to be kinder to themselves as well, especially when you're doing this for the first time. You will make mistakes, but I think that like us, learning from it is all that matters, and that's what we just like kept to.
And you being the female leader, did this change anything in your process? Like, I bet this was a challenge. I'm so
Absolutely, yes,
like,
because the
how was the
expectations
leadership
for
when it
me
came?
are always different. In
Yes,
that everyone always thinks you need to be perfect, you can't make the mistakes that your male counterparts can make, and so in that regard, I had to put in twice the effort.
absolutely. Oh, I can imagine that. And if we would love to kind of like use the stage to tell everyone that be kinder to female leaders out there. They're also, amazing human beings who have missions that they're taking forward. And Rami, how about you?
Well, I mean, I agree with Odun, and I should add that culture beats a strategy every single day. So leadership is just a manifestation of culture, in the sense that I think the first thing we try to delegate in Fotortec is actual leadership. Like everyone's a leader. The mission should be ahead of even the tasks we do every day. We should ask ourselves intuitively, actually, like if what I'm doing now has to do with our mission or if it doesn't. Because, for example, like if a colleague or somebody in the company needs to take some time off for whatever reason, like that's more than reasonable. Please do, and just try to delegate what you need to do. So for us, it's more about of a very flexible culture in the everyday decision making and also execution, because ultimately it's about like breaking objectives down into very small baby steps. And speaking of female leadership, as a matter of fact, recently we were like invited to by the Good Food Institute in India to participate in a challenge over there. And our country manager in India is actually a female, and she's doing an amazing job. And I see, like, I think female are more properly prepared to lead than actual men in terms of everyday culture and getting along with people. Like it makes organizations run much more smoother. So yeah, I think leadership comes from everybody in the company. Like we shouldn't see a single leader role for anyone.
Absolutely. It's I think it's a school of thought or a model of leadership for sure to have like to empower the all the people of the company to see themselves as leaders and decision makers, and also get them to feel the ownership of whatever they're doing. And this I think this would retain them more into the company, so that like they would be aligned more with the vision, and then feel that they're part of this place and this vision, and then stay for longer for sure.
Okay.
And Alicia, maybe I could ask you as well, speaking of also leadership and also the impact report that we were just speaking of at the beginning of the summits. And it's the very first impact investing report that Village Capital has produced for the region, and we were very excited to highlight that at the beginning of the summit. And thank you for your efforts in that. But wanted to ask you about leadership in particular, and the different founders that you support. Can you give us some statistics of maybe males versus female leadership, and the different types, yeah, as well, that you find?
Yeah. So in everything that Village Capital does, we try to center equity and democratizing access to entrepreneurship and democratizing access to the investor table as well. Village Capital tries to run 50%, our cohorts at 50% female founded, 50% male, so that we're ensuring that women founders, female founders are able to be at the table, because as I'm sure many of you know, historically, female founders have taken a tiny proportion of the available investment. I think the statistics this year are getting slightly better, but previous to this year, 90% of venture capital funds were going to men in just 3 cities, New York, Boston,
90.
and 90%. Yep. In New York, Boston, and Silicon Valley. And the rest is left over for female founders, founders of color, everybody else. We are seeing a lot of improvement in that. People are starting to focus on diversity and equity and understanding what great innovation there is outside of those 3 cities. So we're seeing a lot of improvement, and that's something Village Capital will always focus on. It's also why we do our peer selection method that Odin was talking about earlier. So the peer selection method is all about democratizing the access to the process. All investors, Village Capital included, carry biases with them. And we implement the peer selection method in order to negate those biases. We find that entrepreneurs make less biased decisions. They're much more likely to select female-founded companies for investment than an investment panel would. And so that's why we implement the peer selection method, and we have since Village Capital started in 2009. The other thing about female leadership is that on average, female-founded companies are better investments, and also female-led funds often are always better performers than male-led funds. So we see it on both sides. Women make great investments as founders, but they also make great investments as fund leaders.
Why is that, Alicia? Can you give me an idea of why I think that is? I know
I feel
we
like
can't have statistics maybe for that, for maybe reasons, but
we could have a million theories, and I'm not sure which one is true, but I feel like what Rami said earlier resonated. I think women are prepared. They go above and beyond to make sure that they know their stuff, that they're prepared, that they're taken seriously. They're perhaps a little less risk adverse, and all of those things I think make for women are great leaders, and we've always known that, and I think the data is finally catching up to prove what we've always known, is that women not only should be equals at the table, but they're often better prepared.
Okay. May I add to this that Scale Up Ventures, again, we are a female-led team. So Salma and myself, we always have these kinds of talks all the time, and we try to be examples of a great leadership team or female-led team. So we usually talk about the idea of being on the intuitive side more than the masculine leadership. So we're trying to see if this is really something also that is worth spreading the talking about and discussing more openly. But for sure, like how connected you are as a person to your intuition could also guide your business and your decision-making process differently. Not only taking the factuals and then the statistics and the data and everything that's really cool, but also what does your heart tell you when you actually are about to make a particular decision for your company, and how you're leading your teams as well. And okay, so I think following on to that, would love to ask both Odin and Rami about who you aspire maybe to in your field, or maybe who you aspire to in general as an entrepreneur, that you think is someone that you want to learn more from, or if you had to meet her, who would that be, and why, of course?
I think I've been very lucky in that I kind of work in the same ecosystem as the people I look up to. There's like a lot of entrepreneurs in Nigeria just doing awesome things and across Africa. So there's GB of Flutterwave, who I think is an incredible like founder. And then there's obviously like the big global ones like Jeff Bezos, who you read everything that you can read from. But I think having GB, who I can absolutely reach out to, message and ask questions, I think that's very helpful. And so if like we can get where Flutterwave is in the next 1 year, 2 years, I'd be extremely happy.
Can I ask you a follow-on on that? You said you can actually message them right away, and how did you get this kind of connection with the people that you
Well, I mean,
aspire?
it's just we've all been working like in the same space. GB obviously was working as a banker before he became Flutterwave's co-founder, and so because of that, he's pretty much very reachable, very attainable, and so he like advised us on several other things previous to him starting Flutterwave, and just going to networking events, reaching out to people and asking questions. You always find that people are more than happy to introduce you to these people, like just when you ask. So I just asked, and now we're
ask.
kind of friends, and yeah.
Thank you for saying that. Just ask. It is true. As simple as that. Communicating what you need, and you probably get someone to put you there. All right, Rami.
So, to be very honest, over the years, I've had the fortune of having different mentors who have taught me many things that I really needed to take care of in myself to be able to deliver better as an entrepreneur. But probably two people I would love to meet. One I can't, and for the other one.
Oh, why can't you?
Well, I mean, the first one is definitely Henry Ford. I'm a great admirer of the way
Okay.
he changed the way we manufactured things. That was mainly it. He was called many different things than a capitalist, but ultimately he made capitalism much better in all the economies. That's why I'm a great fan of him. I've read so many things about him.
Wow.
But aside of him, definitely there's somebody I owe her a lot. Her name is Olivia Fox-Cabane. She's a champion of the alternative food sector, and she's done a lot of very accurate research. Again, coming back to the subject about like how investors are sometimes very much biased. But in her case, and not probably in the role of an investor, but as somebody who understands very well the industry, she's always delivered such an accurate analysis of the industry state of the art. So I'd love just to talk with her because a conversation with her would be so inspiring. I mean, so down to earth, and
Absolutely.
that'd be a person, yeah.
But I think the one thing that we're all maybe need to work on, we're maybe missing a little bit in the region, is being able to do these types of connections with our role models, to have, like you were saying, more mentorship on a closer level, and sitting down and actually doing the work, like not from a high level, but actually like to the finest details. This would actually help the entrepreneurs very much. But I also, another thing that I definitely advocate for is, you as Rami and you as Odin and founders of great companies. I believe that the process itself of how you do things on a daily basis and your growth journey is worth giving out to the world, to like what's it called, share it with the world. And I think our mentors, or our role models, if they do this often, we would be able to benefit. And if we do this, then the others who aspire to be in our shoes could also benefit very much. So Alicia, do you have anything to add on that?
Yeah, I think, I completely agree with what everyone has been saying. And I think I really liked the, phrase "just ask." I think the people who we look up to and the leaders we admire are much more accessible than we sometimes think. And, the worst thing that can happen is that either they say, I'm sorry, I'm too busy, or they ignore your email. But there's not much to lose by reaching out to those people that you really look up to. I think a lot of people A lot of people get joy out of mentorship and in helping those who are earlier in their career. We involve a lot of mentors in Village Capital programs. Most programs have over 100 folks who come in to serve as mentors throughout the course of the 3 months. And these are people from, across many different sectors, many different levels. And one thing we hear again and again is that they get so much value out of talking to these founders, out of giving back with their time, and also that they learn a lot from founders who are, energetic and excited and starting something new, which a lot of these people did at one point of their life, and now they're, more settled, more established, more successful, but they still really love the energy of working with early stage founders.
Absolutely. Well, thank you, Alicia. And I would love to, I know that the time is running so fast. I'd love to continue the conversation. But one last question that I think I would like to wrap up with is going back to the theme of the summit this year. It's an investment edition, as you know, and so we're speaking all about investment and we put the theme as harvest. So we are, putting it as a reflective point of what kind of harvest are we getting out of the region at the moment. So we saw a little bit of IPOs and some interesting exits and successful investments, but we're also we're seeding at the moment for the next 10 years so that we can see more harvest later on. So I'd love to hear from you all, since we're ending 2021, and going into a reflective mode of where we want to go in the 2022 path. So I want to know what you want to harvest by the end of 2022. What kind of intentions are you putting to 2022 in your business life or on a personal level as well? Would really be helpful, I think, for the audience. Who would like to go first?
Sure. I think that looking into 2022, a lot of what we've done this year was just kind of preparation for scaling up, preparation for user acquisition, preparation for increased awareness, preparation for fundraising. So a lot of next year for us is going to be looking towards getting results from all the arrangements that we put in place this year. This year was kind of rough, unstable, uncertain, but despite that, we were able to kind of lay the groundwork for what 2022 will look like for Piggyvest. And so I think that next year is for sure going to be the year we raise our Series A, the year that we scale up, the year that we go from where we are now in terms of user base to multiples of that, to even expanding the team. So we were able to pivot this year into a year of prep, and hopefully next year will become our year of results.
Awesome. Thank you, Odin. Rami.
Well, I mean, this year was an amazing year for Fotortec in the sense that we got the recognition in multiple events. We were chosen by the leading company in the world in our product category, the flavor enhancers, to be able to make better their products, and that also led us to Village Capital, which also helped us a lot in terms of understanding our macro financial perspective and our long run game. And this actually accelerated us into deciding into getting investment to increase our productive capacity to serve. We've got the great problem that we have a greater demand of our product than the one we can produce right now. So we're working right now on it. And also thanks to Village Capital, understanding how to connect with the corporate, the global partners that can help you focus more on what you do the best, and just outsource the rest of the project. And that's it.
Awesome. Yeah. Alicia?
At Village Capital, I think, first and foremost, watching our alumni and portfolio companies like the ones on this call continue to grow, raise investment, and make great strides that improve the world. And also, we're going to be working with a lot of new companies. After the new year, we'll be announcing in the MENA region and others a slew of new programs that will be running in 2022. And I hope to meet many of the entrepreneurs who might be listening now. And we're really excited to continue to work with impact-focused entrepreneurs to scale our work, scale our vision, and the tools available for entrepreneurs. So I also encourage folks to be on the lookout for that as well. And yeah, I also hope that 2022 brings a lot of joy to people. I think the last 2.5 years have been really difficult for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And my vision for 2022 is a lot lighter and brighter. And I really hope that this new year brings a lot of joy into people's lives.
I think that's a great note to end on, and I think Alicia, just smiling to people with your beautiful smile is gonna make it definitely lighter and more joyous. Keep it up. Thank you so much, panelists of today. I really enjoyed the conversation. It was light and I think very beneficial and enriching for our audience. And I'll give it to Amber to close it. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for this super interesting conversation. I really enjoyed it, and I picked up a lot of lessons from these success stories. I really loved hearing those from you, Alicia, Odun, and Rami. So thanks a lot. Yeah, I think we've heard that mission comes first. I took some notes, so I'm looking to the side. And that you don't have to be perfect from the start. And to a reminder to, especially for young entrepreneurs, to be kinder to themselves, and for all of us to be kinder to female founders and female leaders. And then, of course, to reach out to our role models and just ask. So I think it was a very, very insightful and a productive conversation. If you're curious to hear more, or you think I still have some questions, or I would love to meet those people because they are my role models, you can let us know straight away, and we can bring you into touch with them. You can even speak to them right now after this session is ended. Yeah, I think that's a great opportunity. And then also, if you're curious to hear more about the newest startups and cool ideas that are brewing now, make sure to join us and tune in tonight for the Sharks on pitching competition, and give some support to the people who are pitching there. That this will be on at 5 to 8, if I'm right. But first, we have a panel discussion coming up with a very promising title, Solving Climate Change, a Data-Powered Revolution. So I hope to see you there in a couple of minutes. Thank you.
Thank you.